saved, went to the church and Lifegate Bible Baptist Church, and I ended up getting involved with the wrong crowd after going to church for a long time. Things were going well, got in with the wrong crowd, left church, got backslidden, and walked away from the Lord, walked away from the church, never returned to the church for a number of years after that. By that time I had started to get involved in stealing cars. I got involved in taking social drugs, which led me quite quickly onto taking harder drugs like heroin and methadone and them type of things, and popping pills and doing all them things. When I was 20 years of age, one day I ended up walking through the doors of the church and had a meeting with Pastor O'Gorman, who ended up taking me into his home. I lived with the O'Gormans for about 6 months. The preacher found out about a program over in Scotland called The Haven, and he ended up sending me across to The Haven in 00. I got right with God. God started to work on my life. He started to change my thinking, change my attitude, and I saw tremendous victories in my life as I chose God over my flesh. When I finished the program, which I did, I moved down to the local town in Greenock, and I went to college and joined a local Baptist church there, and ended up marrying the pastor's daughter. But one day we come over to Ireland for a holiday, and we were listening to the preacher, and he was preaching. There was a missions conference on, and the preacher was preaching about the book of Acts and how the book of Acts hasn't stopped and we need to continue the work that's gone on. And the Lord burdened me to leave Scotland and come back to Ireland and start ministry to drug addicts. We went over to Reformers Unanimous. We heard about Reformers Unanimous in the US, and we heard all the work that they were doing. We went over and spent a month with them and travelled back and forward to America and seen different ministries that was going on over there. Got a real heart for RU and decided that we were going to come back to Ireland and start an RU program out of our church, Lifegate Bible Baptist Church in Tallaght. It's an in-house program. What does that mean? That means that the men come and they spend 12 months of their lives separate from the world, separate from the temptations that were out there in the community. And it's a time for them to develop a relationship with God. We teach them the Bible, we preach at them, we love them, we care for them, we say no to them, we help them to get a work ethic. There's many different aspects to the program, and they're all designed to make a man a rounded man with a biblical heart and a good character. The biggest part of my day is just the small things like interacting with the men, going out, trying to be funny with the men, trying to engage with the men. And the serious time comes down when we're doing Bible class. It takes me a lot of time, and I put a lot of effort into preparing for preaching on a Friday night. I still have to be in contact with the Friday night people in RU, because I wear two hats. I run the men's home and I run the outreach on a Friday night, and they're two totally different ministries in one sense. They do two totally different things, but both need a lot of time put into them. But you know, I wouldn't be able to do the ministry at the men's home and the RU ministry without help from the people in the church in Tallaght. We get a tremendous amount of volunteers coming in from the church helping out, and we have a number of different workers in the program. We have some house stewards, and we have some volunteers that come in and help along with the men, and they'll do the work program, and they will do the different bits and bobs. I mean, when you have men 24/7 for a year, you know, you have to have somebody there all the time. We have to have somebody sleep over in the men's home every night. The impact on our church since we started the Reformers Unanimous program has been really eye-opening. We have reached numerous Irish people with the gospel. It has just been a different tool that the church has used to get people into church and see new people come into church that normally wouldn't cross the door of a church. And God has done dramatic work in their lives. They came, and when they came, they were broken people, no hope, never met with God, never involved in Christianity, never heard the gospel before, never read a Bible before. And the changes that the Lord has made in lives has been absolutely a tremendous blessing for me and for our church and for the families of the people that have come into our program. The RU program has not just affected the individuals that has the addiction. The RU program has affected numerous family members, numerous children, and we have seen family members of people with addictions get saved. The kids coming to church get saved, coming to kids club, and just God doing a wonderful work of grace in people's lives. With the RU ministry, there has been tremendous successes, changed lives, people getting transformed. But the other side of that coin is the tremendous difficulties that we go through every time somebody leaves the program early, walks and goes back to the world, changes what they were doing when they were doing right and leaves church or gets backslidden or walks away from the Lord and goes back to the issues that they just came out of. And there's heartbreak and real disappointment in them times. We have seen men that have been in the program for a long time leave and go back to their old sin, and it has cost them greatly. It has cost them their lives in some cases. Ultimately, I can see myself going and maybe starting some other ministries to the addicted around Dublin or even further afield as the Lord leads. But as of right now, the Lord has us in Tala in Dublin, working with Lifegate Baptist Church, and we're doing all we can to see as many people reached as possible. What we found is Christ is the answer. He's the only answer for mankind. He's the only answer for the sin of addiction. And that's all addiction is. Addiction is just sin. That's how we deal with it. On Friday night, the men are not sinners because they're addicts. The men are addicts because they're sinners and they need a saviour. And once they meet the saviour makes the changes in the men's lives that's integral for them to develop to be all that God would have them to be.